Hey there, and welcome. It's another Monday and time for Monday Mastery. I'm author and dating coach Rick Sodabeer, and I'm here to help you deal with dating and relationship issues. And today's subject is how do you deal with the holidays? It can be an issue for a lot of people. Um, and for some folks it's just a brutally tough time, and for other folks it's just all fun and games. And so I want to get your input tonight on what you do and how you plan on spending the holidays, what your traditions are to combat the holiday blues, as it were. Hey, Addie, thanks for joining in. Oh my gosh, I've got some. I used a cloth to clean my glass, and I think it only made it worse. Anyway, I hope you all had a great weekend last weekend. It was wonderful here, except for the fact the Chiefs lost yesterday. Uh, that was a heartbreaker, but yeah, it happens. So anyway, so let's dive into today's topic. And so what do you guys do? What do you all do for the holidays, for to create new traditions, or to break old traditions, or to maintain traditions, or what is it that you all do? I have a variety of different plans every year, and they change. And but I won't share any of mine until you guys start sharing some of yours, and we'll talk about it and see what we can do to encourage other people, and see if we can share some unique ideas today. That's better. Okay. Well, you guys aren't real talkative tonight, are you? Come on. I specifically set this one up so you all could chat more. Okay, there we go. Addie says, I don't have traditions these days. Just keep doing my thing, working until I go see my family on Christmas Eve. Well, there you go. Um, that's you spend time with family, and that's uh, some of us. Sorry about that. Um, it's awesome to be able to have family. I know from time to time I've spent Thanksgivings with my best friend's family. I spent Christmas with other families. Again, it's from time to time, and those are always wonderful times. Although I've always felt, especially at Christmas time, when I've gone somewhere other than immediate family, I've always felt a little awkward. Especially if they're opening gifts and whatnot. Because you generally don't come prepared to give gifts to everyone that may be in the room. You don't necessarily know who all's going to be in the room. I mean, you can bring a bottle of wine or a bottle of champagne for dinner. But it's often awkward. At least I found it awkward sometimes when you're at somebody's house for Christmas and they start opening presents, and then all of a sudden, what do you do if they hand you a present? Hey, Liz. Thanks for joining in. Liz says, I like to go out and go to the local programs, be at school or community. We have a wealth of talent in our area, and a number of fun Christmas programs. Gets me in the spirit. There you go. Those are some awesome ideas. How many of you others jump in and take in the Christmas programs, or make an effort to find what Christmas programs are going on? Folks that I'm traveling with right now came to me and said, hey, there's going to be a boat Christmas parade down here on Friday. Do you want to go? Absolutely. Let's go join in those festivities. So we're going to figure out where we're going there but it's on the Florida Alabama line, and so we're going to see some hopefully festively decorated boats Friday night, and but that's one of the local events. So, uh, what do you all do? Because I know you've all battled loneliness or even depression during the holidays. So what do you guys do? What have you done to chase away those holiday blues? Addie says last year went to Union Station with my friend and her little girl. Talked about doing it again this year. Union Station always has some fun stuff going on, and that's a really neat place, especially at Christmas. I've never been there, unfortunately. I've always had other things going on, and not taken the time. And I'm and right now I'm thinking, I'm sorry I missed some of those things. Um, and I know. What about does anybody participate in cookie exchanges, or uh, does anybody do charitable work such as helping out at a homeless shelter serving a Christmas Eve meal, or buying presents for underprivileged? I know in Lake of the Ozarks, when I lived there, they had a one of the Rotary clubs sponsored, or they had a candy canes hung on Christmas trees with the names, first name, or in fact, it wasn't even names. It was just boy or girl and age, and listing a couple of things that they wanted. And people would come in and pick out a candy cane or two or three or four, and go out and go shopping for these kids that were in need. I'm sure there are things like that in most communities where you can contribute to helping make a Merry Christmas for needy kids. And let's see. Addie says, "Oh yeah, my other friend always does an ornament exchange party." LOL. So, I guess I may have some traditions. See, when you start thinking about it, Addie, there's a number of we all have a number of traditions, whether we recognize it or not. And then she says, "I miss working in an office, as we always had fun decorating the office." Yeah, and it doesn't have to be an office. It can be a retail location. You can do some very fun, festive things there. Even in a factory, you can do some unique things. You may hang some tinsel or something on a piece of your machinery, as long as it doesn't interfere with what's being produced. Something to lighten the atmosphere and make it a little more festive. One of the things I used to do, and I don't at this point, because I don't have an oven anymore. Since I'm a full-time RVer, my RV does not have an oven, but I used to bake Christmas cookies for friends and family and give those away. And that was and that was always a major undertaking, and I swore every year, this is the last year. But every year, and it wasn't until I relinquished my apartment in Grain Valley that I literally was forced to end that tradition. And there were some disappointed friends and family. Hey, Mario, thanks for joining in. And I hope you're doing well, Mario. And are you still out in the Atlanta area? And wait for Mario's answer. But it's there are so many things that we can do. If you're feeling down, if you're feeling blue, uh, there are plenty of opportunities to help. churches are always looking for helpers to deliver meals, for Thanksgiving, for Christmas. There's shelters. There's underprivileged. What am I trying to say? The Mario says he's in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. There you go. I was just in Memphis. I think that's probably the other side of the state. About 3 weeks ago. But anyway, there are a lot of opportunities for you to take your mind off of whatever of your potential loneliness. There are a lot of social groups there that do things for Christmas. There's again, there's charities. There are live events, plays and concerts, and if you've got kids or grandkids in school, they always have, or usually have, I don't know. The last couple of years have been a little crazy, but having Christmas programs. Although they probably don't call them Christmas programs or holiday programs now, but those are fun things to attend, to be a part of. And if and one of the things that you have to be careful of, a lot of times, we get wrapped up in our own loneliness, and it leads us to making some antisocial decisions. Hey, Phil, thanks for joining in. And we can get wrapped up in that and end up staying home. No, I don't want to go out. I'm tired. I'm lonely. I don't want to be around people. But sometimes that's the best thing to do. To step out of your funk, to step out of your comfort zone, and go help somebody else. What studies have shown, that when you're helping somebody else, you're lifting your own spirits. Phil says a few churches in the Kansas City area have Blue Christmas services for grieving loved ones. There you go, and that can be an awesome way to connect with other people, spend time with others that are lonely or alone, or single, and don't necessarily want to spend that time alone. One of the other things, like I said, you can do good things for other people. Bake a batch of cookies and take them to the police department, or on Christmas Eve, or take them to the fire department on Christmas Eve, because those are public servants that are away from home, and you'll be surprised. There are quite a few organizations that will drop stuff off, but just find some way to step into the community and be a giver, be a doer. Again, you can check with your church. You can check with the Salvation Army, in any other number of organizations that help the underprivileged. They're always looking for help. Check with shelters and say, hey, what can I do to help? It may only be a day a week. It may be only, one evening or one afternoon, but it gets you out of the house, and it gets you to meet other people that don't have the luxury or the benefits that you do, or the resources that you do. You get to see a different side of life when you're helping the underprivileged. And and then some of us just choose to be alone. There's at Thanksgiving, for me personally, I had a perfectly fine time. I cooked a full meal no, I didn't I didn't bake a pie, but I had a full meal otherwise, and it was just nice. And and for some folks, it's just nice to be able to relax and to spend a little quiet time and start reflecting on the year, and what your year has been like. Maybe you've been through a lot this year, and it's time to relax and just reflect on some of the blessings that you've had. It may be a tough year, and maybe it's just a blessing to to have made it through the year. We're down to the last 3 weeks or so, and I'm guessing if you sit quietly and think, you have a lot to be thankful for. I know I certainly do. I can be thankful. I'm thankful for all of you. I'm thankful for the blessing that I have to be able to be in southern Alabama right now, just off the Gulf, and it was 73 degrees today. I feel totally blessed there. And it's just nice enjoying a different climate this year for winter. It's not cold. I'm not shoveling. I'm not bundling up. But again, what are some of the things that you all do? This was supposed to be your input tonight, not mine. Addie's shared some things. Phil's shared some things. Phil, what else do you do? Mario, what are some of the things that you do? I know you've got a pretty good sized family, and you guys are into football. I don't know if you're playing, if your sons are playing football over the holidays, and there's traveling games, or Liz goes to various local programs, because there is quite a bit of talent up in northern Michigan, northern Wisconsin. Do you take some folks I know take a vacation at Christmas time. They go someplace. They go someplace south. They take a cruise, a Christmas cruise, or head down to Mexico for a week or so. And so what are some of the things that you all do? Or what other suggestions do you have? In the long, awkward silence. Anyway, okay, well, if you guys have some comments or recommendations, Addie says, I just got back from Charleston, South Carolina, and we drove around to look at Christmas lights. That's another one. There's a lot of neighborhoods that hey, Tammy, thanks for joining us. I'm glad to see you're here. Tammy and I are old friends, and have been friends for several years, and have just haven't had much of a chance to chat with you lately. So, but we're talking about doing things for Christmas or for the holidays. Thank you. It's good to have you here, and we'll have to get together and do another episode, Tammy. Get to Texas. Yeah, you're too cold in Texas. I'm in Alabama right now. And Tammy says, yes, it's lonely for sure. But I know, Tammy, what are your plans for Christmas? I'm assuming that you'll be spending time with your kids, and you'll have. I'm assuming you have. I'm assuming that I'm just checking in a couple of notes here. I'm assuming you've got some plans for Christmas, and let's see. She says I will have them, but New Year's Eve. But New Year's Eve you're alone, and that can be and that's another one of the holidays that can be brutal, starting out the new year single and not having anyone there. It really is a tough time, and that's why it's so important. And there I have two schools of thought here. depending on where your mindset is, I find that let me. Tammy's piped in here. I decided not to sit here alone, so I booked a trip to Nashville. I spent Thanksgiving alone. Oh, you should have been here, Tammy. We could have had dinner. Anyway, I'm almost to Destin. So anyway, Addie says New Year's Eve. I work at the restaurant and make money. Better than spending it alone. Well, there's a lot to be said for that. And I bartended one year out near a ski hill, and I swear that was the best New Year's I ever had. I mean, we were busier than crazy, and I was working with the head bartender, and I was just a newbie, so he was kind of keeping an eye on me. And about 5 minutes to 12, he came up to me and he said, Rick, mix yourself a drink and get ready, because at New Year's at midnight, we're stopping for a couple of minutes, have a drink, and then we're going to get back at it. And it was an absolute ball, because I got to see so many people, talk to so many people, and just serve so many people. And sometimes I think being of service to somebody, is some of the best medicine. And we were having such a good time. The owners came to us, and the whole crowd was having such a good time that year that the owners came to us and said, hey, will you stay another 2 hours? So we rolled until about 4 o'clock in the morning and just had a ball. Tammy says, I won't get a kiss, but I'll be happy. And that's okay. We don't necessarily need that kiss on New Year's. It's, she says, close to my beach. Yeah, Destin, yes. And Tammy says, this will be my third New Year's Eve alone. It'll be a blast, though. I'm taking my girlfriend and meeting my other one there. And there are things to do. It doesn't, the holidays don't necessarily need to include a significant other. They can be with close friends. I've got my high school best friend right now. He's parked right next door to me, so we'll be spending Christmas, probably sharing a Christmas meal together and just having a nice time. And we'll probably have a gathering here at the RV park, and so there's always ways of finding something to do. And Tammy says the scariest and hardest part is getting out there. Just do it, no matter what. And TGIT, for those of you who don't know, that says thank God it's today. And Tammy has quite a story, so we'll have to get together and Tammy can share her story now, because I think you're at a point where you can share the most of the dirty details. And Phil says volunteer at the Project Starfish if you're in the Kansas City metro area. The Starfish program here in Olathe, Kansas, giving to people in need. And that is and you don't necessarily need to volunteer. You don't necessarily need to spend money and buy food or bring gifts. Just your help, just your service, just being there to offer a helping hand to whoever needs it. It can be invaluable. Just to sit there and talk to somebody. In high school, our high school choir would walk the halls of one of the local nursing homes and sing songs and sing Christmas carols. And it was one of the smiles that it brought to people. And some of these folks, as I've gotten older, I found out that some of these folks don't have anybody to come and see them. you can. I used to send Christmas cookies to soldiers that were deployed overseas. If you have a connection with somebody, you have to have a soldier's name. You can't just send it to a certain unit. It'll never get there. You have to send things to a specific soldier, and he can distribute them among his friends. One of the biggest gifts I ever received was a letter from a helicopter pilot in the army, and he told me that I had sent him Christmas cookies through because I knew his mother. And when he was deployed in Afghanistan, I sent Christmas cookies to him, and he said, because of my mom's friends, we had so much stuff here. I took half of the cookies and brought them out to the front lines where they didn't have, to the forward operating bases, where they didn't have the luxury of having some of these things. And so, that was really heartwarming to see or to hear. And Tammy says, for me, it's invited single friends for Thanksgiving. I will for Christmas also. I will not let people be alone. And that's awesome. And she says, everyone is hurting in some way. Let's see. Well, you missed the earlier part of the show, Tammy, where I said, I don't have an oven anymore because I'm RVing. So, but maybe one day, I'll get back into that routine again. But it's and every once in a while. Every once in a while, routines need to be broken. Things need to be shaken up and not stirred. My poor James Bond imitation there. No, every once in a while, things need to be shaken up, and you just need to try something different. Now, and don't misunderstand me. Traditions are awesome, but sometimes they start to lose their luster, their joy, and sometimes it becomes drudgery. And I've seen posts, that when the older generation passes away, they were the ones that kept the family traditions going. I look at my grandparents and my grandmother in particular. She kept the family coming for Thanksgiving, for Christmas. And there were a lot of Thanksgivings and a lot of family Christmases that were at her house, and it was a lot of fun. I had some strange cousins, but that I didn't see often, and but it was always nice to have these family dinners, and as a kid, you don't know all the stuff that goes into it, all the work that goes into it, but you in your later years, you start to appreciate all of the things that they did for you to create those traditions. But once they pass, the next generation is not quite as good about it, and then I know my generation is pretty lax about it. My daughter, she's torn between 3 or 4 different households and trying to accommodate everybody. So I kind of just kind of step aside and let them do their thing. And so I'll pick up in the off holiday season. Tammy says, agreed. That's why I don't go to the beach alone for Thanksgiving. Didn't go to the beach alone for Thanksgiving. Had to change it up. Absolutely. And Addie says, yeah, the ornament exchange is pretty old. Well, it after a while, initially they can be fun. But it all depends on your time and the time investment. Uh, Addie says, all our family traditions I grew up with stopped when the parents divorced. Christmas has never been the same. That I can't say that, and I know that happens in a lot of families. I can't say that happened in mine because my parents continued to talk and they actually got to be better friends over time than they were when they were married. And so there were my mother still for the most part would put on Thanksgiving, put on Christmas. And as I got older, I moved away and I couldn't get home all the time, but and I look at some of that with a little bit of regret, and life was what it was back then, and it is what it is now. So anyway, with that, why don't we wrap up tonight, and we'll just make this a short one tonight. I hope you guys have a great and blessed week, and I hope you all. I'll be here next week, and then I guess we're still early in the month. We're only the 5th. We got a couple of weeks to go. I'll come up with some other ideas for the next couple of weeks, and we'll go from there. Addie, thank you, and we'll see you all next week. Have a great and blessed week. Stay safe. And it's almost a full moon, so watch out for crazy drivers on the road. And I was almost hit twice today, being out and about. So just be aware of that. And I will catch you next Monday for Monday Mastery. And I love you guys. Thanks for your input and sharing. And we'll see you next week.